Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Gene Simmons is making big news again. This time, people aren't talking about his music. Fans are shocked by some things he said in recent interviews. At the same time, old accusations about bad behavior are coming back up, and Fox News has already banned him from their buildings. Even more, Gene Simmons and his son are now dealing with scandals, lawsuits, and controversies. What's the newest news from Gene Simmons that everyone's talking about? Let's find out. The famous rock star, Gene Simmons, is in trouble this year because of the very high price of his new VIP experience and his recent comments about how he cares more about ticket sales than being respected. This has caused a lot of arguments among fans who are worried about what their hero has turned into. He called this the ultimate Gene Simmons experience, and it's a special deal that lets one fan per show spend a whole day with Simmons and his team doing work behind the scenes. The fan would meet Simmons at his hotel, eat a meal with him, and help with different parts of getting ready before the show. They will also help carry equipment or set up the place where he performs, be there for soundcheck, and get to go backstage. The fans will also get VIP souvenirs, including a set list signed by Simmons, a used bass guitar from a Kiss practice session, a crew member shirt and hat, a special pass, and the chance to perform one song on stage with him. But what everyone's mad about is how much it costs. The cost of this experience is $12,495, and that doesn't even include the concert ticket. Fans are really angry about this because they think the cost is way too high, especially since they still have to pay for the concert ticket. People are saying that paying over $12,000 just to follow a rock star around for a day is way more than what a regular person can afford, even if they're a huge fan. Fans think this is Gene's way to make money from his fans instead of giving fans something special. They even say that Gene is taking advantage of his biggest fans and people who love his band and Kiss. To make things even worse, many of his concerts were delayed. So, the fans who actually paid for the VIP package ended up feeling frustrated because they believe they are being tricked. Gene Simmons eventually made headlines when he responded to his fans' worries. He had said that he would rather be rich even if he's unhappy and that money gives you freedom. In a recent interview, he also said, "I'll take sales over credibility any day." He added that music critics and being respected are less useful and they won't keep concert halls full. He prefers fans who actually come to shows and buy tickets. His exact words were, "You can't pay the rent with credibility." Gene has also talked about how much the rock music business has gotten weaker over the years. He said that services like Napster, streaming, and general changes in how people listen to music have made less money and made rock less important in culture. He said there aren't any musicians like the Beatles, Elvis, or Hendrix anymore. It seems like he doesn't think he has to care about being respected or making good music anymore when he can just make money from his fans. But Gene is saying that he's not just making money from his fans, but he's giving them what they're curious about regarding what happens behind the scenes and how concerts are put together. He said that this kind of special experience is worth more to his fans than good reviews. Gene believes that rock music, especially for older famous acts, depends more on touring, selling merchandise, and fan experiences to make money instead of selling albums and getting praise from critics. He also doesn't think critics are as important as they used to be in the past. While some fans agree with Gene and some diehard fans have already bought the tickets, others are saying that he only cares about money and not his fans. But that's not the only reason why many fans are upset with Gene Simmons lately. Just a few years before that, he found himself in the middle of a shocking scandal that made him lose most of his fan base. It all started in December 2017 when Gene Simmons was hit with a big lawsuit that changed his fan base. A radio and television person filed a lawsuit using the fake name Jane Doe. According to the lawsuit, Gene had committed battery, gender violence, and assault during an interview a month earlier at a Rock and Brews restaurant in San Bernardino County, California. According to Jane Doe, while they were in a green room before a promotional interview, Gene apparently grabbed Jane Doe's hand and forcefully placed it on his knee. Then she immediately pulled it away. Even during the interview, Gene turned normal questions into inappropriate jokes. One claim in the lawsuit says that he made a groping sound and told her that she must use lotion. Jane Doe said that he continued making different unwanted physical moves. Even worse, during the photo session after the interview, she says that he touched her bottom and flicked her in the throat. Of course, Gene didn't admit any of these things. He made a statement saying, "For the record, I did not assault the person making these accusations in the way they say, in the complaint, or hurt her in any way." He added that the accusations have no proof and said that he would fight back. According to Gene, he wants to prove that these accusations are lies, and he has a history of treating co-workers, fans, and media people with respect. But it's hard for fans to believe him because this isn't the first time Gene has been questioned about his behavior toward women. Over the years, he has gotten a pretty bad reputation because he openly talks about having different encounters with women. The lawsuit asked for money for battery, gender-motivated violence, and other related claims. He eventually made a deal with her outside of court, although he also continued to deny all the accusations. When this lawsuit happened, fans started to remember some of his old scandals, like when Ace Frehley accused him of groping his wife, the many women that have accused him of assault, and when he was banned from Fox News because of his bad behavior. Another recent news came when Gene was banned for life from Fox News in November 2017. Around the same time, he was accused of sexual battery. This happened after some incidents during the promotional appearances related to his book on power, My Journey Through the Corridors of Power and How You Can Get More Power. The events happened after Gene went on Fox and Friends and Mornings with Maria. After finishing those interviews, people say that Gene went into a Fox News staff meeting on the 14th floor of the Manhattan headquarters without being invited. Then, people say he did a lot of crazy stuff. He unbuttoned his shirt and showed his chest and stomach. To the female workers, he yelled, "Hey chicks, sue me." He also made jokes that were inappropriate, including jokes about Michael Jackson and pedophilia. Gene had also supposedly hit 2 workers on the head with a copy of his book on power, using the impact or sound as a fake way to measure how smart they were. They added that he even insulted the staff, made fun of how smart they were, and in general acted in a rude way. After all these reports, Fox News banned Gene from all the Fox properties permanently, including its studios and headquarters. In fact, a photo of Gene was posted at the security entrance of the Manhattan building with a "Do Not Admit" sign. But Gene disagreed with a lot of these claims. In interviews, he accused Fox of exaggerating and misleading the public. He denied ripping his shirt, and instead he said that that's the way he always wore his shirt. He also said that he was surprised by the reaction and accused social media of making the case bigger for no reason. Interestingly, Fox banned Gene around the same time that they were being questioned about internal behavior and harassment problems. The network was dealing with public criticism and legal battles about harassment, and so they probably decided to ban Gene to avoid any more scandals. Gene Simmons has made headlines multiple times with his different scandals, and fans are becoming more and more worried and disappointed in him. After all these scandals, he found himself at the end of another lawsuit, this time by his hairstylist. In a lawsuit filed in February 2023, David Matthews, who had been the wig stylist and wardrobe crew member for Kiss and Gene specifically, brought serious claims against the band. The case, which said he was wrongly fired because Matthews raised concerns about COVID-19 safety, was settled in early 2025 after court proceedings showed labor code violations, employee misclassification problems, and risks to both sides. According to Matthews, he was fired in 2022 after he kept complaining that the COVID rules weren't being followed well during the band's tour. He raised different safety concerns about the crew's health, band members who had symptoms, and what he felt were not good enough safety measures. He also claimed that they refused to give him rest breaks and unpaid overtime. These claims included that many tour legs had tight schedules that didn't allow breaks, and that Matthews wasn't properly paid for hours worked beyond a normal shift. This led to a tough battle between Gene and David Matthews. In December 2024, Judge Arman Tamzarian denied the band's request for summary judgment, meaning Matthews' claims would continue past early dismissal. The judge noted that the case had serious legal risks for both sides. Eventually, both sides reached a settlement. But this legal fight got the attention of many fans who were worried about whether Gene isn't the same in public as he is in private. They guessed that he used to treat his crew members badly. Or else, why would there be such a major scandal against him? But Gene isn't the only one dealing with scandals. Even his son found himself in the middle of a plagiarism scandal. Nick Simmons, Gene's son, created, wrote, and drew a comic miniseries called Incarnate by Radical Comics. The series was published in August 2009, with the plan of being a longer story, but only 3 single issues came out before the controversy started. Fans and manga readers had accused Incarnate of closely copying different images, panel layouts, character designs, dialogue, plot elements, and poses from well-known manga series, especially Bleach by Taita Kubo. Other works said to have been sources of similarity include Hellsing, One Piece, Vampire Hunter D, and even artwork from amateur artists on sites like DeviantArt. Different fans compared his comic work to other comics, showing many similarities that they saw were too alike to be dismissed as simply being general or inspirational. The pose, angle, and layout of his book was clearly similar to those published by others. In February 2010, as the accusations gained attention, Radical Comics officially stopped all production and distribution of Incarnate until all the accusations could be resolved. The publisher also made statements that they were concerned about protecting intellectual property, and so they contacted the publishers of the works in question to look at the claims. But everyone was waiting to see what Gene's son would say about this. Nick Simmons made a statement saying that Incarnate was meant as a tribute to manga artists he admires. He said that there are similarities between some parts of his work and other works, but emphasized he did not mean to plagiarize. In that statement, he also apologized to any fans or manga artists who felt he went too far or was offended. He said that basic imagery is common to all manga and that part of his inspiration came from works he respected. But this was not good enough for his fans and critics. They said that he even took dialogue, story beats, and visual layouts in ways that didn't feel like a normal tribute. Some felt like the apology wasn't good enough and called it a non-apology because he didn't admit any wrongdoing. After all the uproar, Radical Comics removed Incarnate from circulation, and they stopped all the ongoing issues and any collected edition until the situation was sorted out. The scandal brought more attention to Gene Simmons and some of his recent outspoken statements. Gene Simmons appeared as a guest judge on Dancing with the Stars during the Hair Metal Night episode, and he found himself in yet another controversy when he said some shocking statements. Instead of judging the female contestants based on how they danced, he made several comments about how they looked, instead saying statements like, "Hot, hot, hot, and you move me, your beautiful face. Your gyrations." Viewers called his remarks creepy and uncomfortable, accusing him of giving creepy uncle vibes. He also defended himself, saying he stood by every word and claimed that the critics are a part of media clickbait. Many fans and commentators criticized Simmons' remarks on DWTS, saying them as disrespectful toward female dancers and not right for a family show. Others felt his remarks focused too much on appearance rather than skill. In another interview, he made another controversial statement when he said that he has reclaimed the word. He compared his own reclamation to the way marginalized groups reclaim slurs like the N-word. He said he is okay with being labeled this, saying that many people do things purely for money and that being called this is less important than doing honest work and knowing who you are. But fans were also not happy with this, as they thought he was just trying to justify some of his bad statements that he has said over the years. Another statement that caused a lot of controversy was during a podcast episode in 2025, when Gene criticized the younger generations, especially Gen Z, as entitled. He said that they expect things like healthcare or free living, but without understanding the value of work, and compared it with how he was raised and how he did chores for money. He also said that handouts or expecting things without effort contributes to a problematic mindset, and told younger people to earn their keep. But of course, you can imagine how different fans and critics, especially those in Generation Z, reacted to this. His statements got a lot of haters, but his situation became worse when he made the recent statement in April 2025 about his VIP service for fans. In 2025, Gene Simmons is making headlines again, saying that he would rather be a rich, miserable person than be poor. He defended charging fans almost $13,000 for his roadie for a day experience, saying money gives freedom, and that from his childhood, he was motivated by escaping poverty. Gene hasn't backed down. He said again that he meant no harm, that compliments aren't crimes, and defended free expression and his style. Gene's words over the years and his connection to sexual scandals has made him stay in the headlines for a long time, especially after he had a very controversial marriage that kept him in the news for years. Gene Simmons started dating Shannon Tweed in 1983, but didn't get married until October 1st, 2011, a full 28 years later. He actually admitted that for many years he didn't want to get married, and said that he was unwilling to commit and feared emotional vulnerability. In an interview, he also said that he didn't know why he waited so long to marry, but he thought that being very stubborn and afraid of being tied down played a big part. Gene has talked a lot about the mistakes that he had in the marriage, especially admitting to being self-centered and very promiscuous. A big part of their wedding story is very symbolic. On their reality show, Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, they burned a Polaroid photo collection of Gene's past encounters. They did it publicly as a way for Gene to come clean with Shannon about his cheating. Of course, there were also some dramatic moments like when Shannon Tweed walked off the set of the Joy Behar show as they were making jokes about Gene's infidelity. After they got married, Gene struggled a lot with love, trust, aging, and commitment. In a 2023 interview, he said he never wanted to be hurt ever again, and that showing vulnerability was hard for him because of his past emotional wounds. He couldn't even say words like, "I love you" to his wife. But he finally decided to get married to her because he was mature and realized that life is limited and relationships matter. Shannon was his only constant over decades, and so he got married to her. Many fans believe that Gene doesn't actually love Shannon, especially with his cheating and how hesitant he was to commit for many years. But insiders say that Gene eventually grew to love Shannon deeply over time. It seems like the couple have finally found a good balance in their relationship. But Gene was making headlines again when he dealt with a sudden tragedy. Flora Klein, the mother of Gene Simmons, made headlines when she passed away in December 2018. She passed away quietly in her sleep of natural causes, and Gene wrote saying, "There was no illness, no pain." Gene Simmons paid tribute on social media. "I lost my mother, my mentor, my moral compass, and I am heartbroken." He added that she will always be in his thoughts and encouraged people to go hug their mothers and tell them they are loved. When she passed away, fans remembered her remarkable life story. Born in Hungary in 1925, she was a Holocaust survivor. She and her brother were the only members of her family to survive Nazi persecution. At age 14, she was locked up, later freed from the Mauthausen camp. After World War II, she moved to Israel and later moved to the US with young Jean, then Chaim Witz, when he was 8. She raised him mostly as a single mother under very difficult conditions. Gene has often described her as his inspiration, calling her fiercely protective, resilient, and a moral guiding force in his life. Despite Kiss breaking up, Gene has been in the news over and over again with different scandals, news, and shocking statements. Although he has gotten a lot of critics and haters, the latest about Gene Simmons is making headlines with the Kiss reunion, bringing all his fans together again. Kiss confirmed their first performance since officially ending their end of the road farewell tour in December 2023. The event, titled Kiss Army Storms Vegas, will take place November 14th to 16th, 2025 at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Unlike their classic shows, in this reunion, the band members, including Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, and Tommy Thayer, will perform without their trademark makeup. This is clearly stated in announcements. Not everyone is excited. Some commentators and fans find the reunion plans insulting, especially given how recent their declared final shows were. The repetition of farewell announcements followed by comebacks has led to skepticism. Gene Simmons has been in the news many times for good and bad news, but recently he has been in scandals and saying shocking statements that have driven fans away. What do you think about this latest news? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. So thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.